Hello everyone, welcome to the Moon River series. Today we're going to do a little bit of improv. These Cello Nation lives are meant to be just short little ideas to get you thinking about some things to practice. So we got Moon River today. If you guys are interested in doing deeper practice on some of the improv pieces, we're doing Autumn Leaves for July. That's July 10th through the 15th. So I've been starting to post about that free masterclass. So if you're interested in that, make sure you sign up for that, July 10th through the 15th. So today we're going to work on Moon River. Looks like there's a couple people in here. You guys are going to be coming in, and then you can watch it later as well. Okay, so for improv on Moon River, I made a video of the melody with the metronome going so we can hear the same beat, and I have some ideas for how to do to start working on your improv study here in Moon River. So learning the melody is, you guys can figure out how to learn the melody yourself, right? But today I want to talk about connectors of the bass line. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is to practice hello, who's here, say who's here, write in the chat who's here so I know who's here. Okay, and later I want you guys to comment if you guys play along with this, okay? So we have the Moon River chord chart. Did you guys print it out? It's on Cello Nation. If you don't have it yet, print it out so you can practice along with it, okay? It's the chord chart. It's got the chords above the staff. That's what we're going to be working with, not anything written. Well, the melody's written, right? So what I did was I recorded this on my phone, the melody slowly with a metronome. So that sounds kind of like this.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, why did I do it so slow? Because I'm going to be working on some bass notes for it, because I'm going to be working my brain, right? And figuring out what I can do as a bass part. Bass part is kind of like the beginning of our improvisation study, okay? You learn the melody, our classical abilities teach us how to play the melody, right? And then, so I don't see any comments, which means I don't think you guys, can somebody write a comment in the comments so I can see if you're, it shows that some people are here, but it doesn't show any comments. So let me know if you can write a comment. Let me see if I can write a comment. Oh, there they are. I don't know why those didn't come through. Oh, nice. Meg from Vermont, Adrian, yay, from Minnesota, April. Hi, April. Hi, Tracy. Sherry, hi, Heidi, Diane. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you guys. Okay, so the beginning of your improv study is going to be bass lines, because that's the place we start in the chord. That's the root, the most important note in the chord that keeps changing from chord to chord, right? And that's the one that we can jump on the most, because if you look at your Moon River chart, like it says C major 7th, right? The first thing it says is C. That's the root. There's a reason for that. That's the bass. That's the most important part. So we're going to jump on that root to begin our improv study. And then we branch out from there, and we get more arpeggio notes in, and then we get more colorful, and we add 7ths and 11ths and all kinds of things, right? But we start with bass. So what you need to do is look at the time signature, because there's rhythm in this too, right? So Moon River's in 3/4, right? And it's got all these chords written above the bars. When there's one chord per bar, we're going to come up with a rhythm that we are going to use per bar in order to practice the bass line, right? So for this, there's 3 beats in a bar, right, guys? So think to yourself, what rhythm could I do for a bass line that will last for 3 beats, right? So the first one that comes to mind is a dotted half note, right? You can do 3 beats of the bass note each bar, right? Unless there's 2 chords per bar. And then you have to do either a quarter note and a half note, or a half note and a quarter note, depending on how it's written in the part and how you put it in, right? But we're just talking about moving bass note to bass note. Okay, that's just what we're talking about right now. Okay, so now today I want to talk about chord connectors. And so that's like, what's a chord connector? Well, I'll show you on my cello, and then we'll all have a playthrough and see how we can do with this. Now, in past classes, we always talk about your bass run through, figuring out your bass part, right? So in Moon River, it's gonna be like, if we are gonna do dotted half notes, sorry, just a sec, that won't give us any rhythm. You can do your dotted half note along with the melody if you record the melody, but right now, you can do dotted half notes, or you can do 3/4 notes, right? That's another option where the beat is filled up and you get rhythm too, right? Hold on. Right? So that's kind of the first way that we do a bass line, is just jump on the root, right? Now what I want to do is talk about root note connectors, okay? So we can do the root all the way through, and then we can do the root note connectors. So let's just do that. This is just as a way of warming up. Claudia says she loves both tunes. She's talking about Moon River and Autumn Leaves for the master class. Okay, so let's see. If I put this at the beginning. Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear this. It's got the metronome beat on it so that the beat is there, right? So you'll be able to hear this. And what we're going to do right now is just play the bass line with whatever rhythm that you want, but stay on the root, okay? And it's slow, so, you know, this might be a challenge to some of you. It might not be a challenge to some of you. But then the next time we're going to do connector notes, okay? So let's just do this bass line first with either 3/4 notes per bar, or whatever rhythm you decide to do, but stay on the root note, okay?
1, 2, 3.
First ending. Bar 13. And repeat. So second ending now. Six C's, right? 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's your basic bass line that you can do with a metronome. Now, some of us are getting lost because we're thinking about the chord and we're not hearing the beat. So you got to make sure that it's almost like your second eye. Like you keep an eye on the beat. It's really part of your ear. And then you're thinking also about what's the root of that chord, right? And how does it move within the bar. Now, I want to talk about connectors. Now, you can for that, I mean, you can use whatever rhythm you want to use, right? So you could use, oh, sorry, la, 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 as long as it's divisible by 3, right? Because we're in 3/4, right? So this is making a hissing noise, which is interesting. I don't know how to stop the hissing noise in here, but anyway, okay. So let me know in the comments if you're able to do that. Well, we didn't get the connector notes, Vicky. We didn't talk about them yet. We were just playing the root notes, okay? Yay, Miriam made it to Indiana, from Indiana. Yay. Hello from San Francisco, Claudia, Vicky from France. Hello, everyone from all over. It's fun to see you guys. Okay, so now you can put whatever rhythm in here on the bass line that you want. You can change it up, right? You could say, okay, I'm going to do quarter notes for the first line, and the second line I'm going to start to do eighth notes, right? What would that sound like? For me, right? There's no rules, but you kind of want to keep it consistent because you want to accent the melody, right? So really sectionally is the best place to change the rhythm and get more exciting as you go along. And then maybe at the end you go back and just do quarter notes again, right? Sometimes you can just do long notes. The color of the cello is so important, you know? Who can beat that as a bass line? I mean, that's beautiful, right? All right, now let's talk about connector notes, okay? All right, so let's do this rhythm for the first line, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and everybody, let's try that rhythm for the first line. Ready, go. Just the bass note. Ready, go. Is the easy rhythm to keep all the way throughout. When there are 2 chords per bar, you're gonna have to figure out, like for example, bar 14, it looks like the B7th comes on the second beat. So then it would be F sharp for 1 beat, right? You change to B on the second beat, right? You just figure that out in advance, however you're gonna do that. Now, let's talk about the connector notes, okay? We're just playing the root, right? Sometimes we do arpeggios, sometimes we do our scales on certain chords every bar, but right now we're just doing the bass line for a reason, because I want to teach you guys how to use connector lines for interest, okay? So if we identified this rhythm, I'm going to use the 3rd beat of that bar as the connector spot, where I'm going to play different notes that run you into the next chord. For example, we have a C chord, and then we have an A minor chord, right? So if I want to use a connector note, I know that C to A is 3 notes, right? C, B, A. So if I start my C up here, I can do this. Already it's like, oh, that's fun. We're leading into that second A bass note, right? Right? You get that? Okay, so let's see. Those are connector notes. I just decided you can put as many connector notes as you want, but just for this practice, I've identified that this is the rhythm that we're going to use. Because as Miriam will tell you, you know, it's so fun to do whatever we want, and we can do that, but that's not our practice. Our practice is specifying certain things and trying to do those things exactly. Then later you fly off and do whatever you want to do, right, Miriam? All right, so if we're doing connector notes, way too, right? So it's going down a third and down another third, right? Now with connector notes, know also that something you can do on the third beat of the bar is just play the root. You don't have to do any connector notes if you don't see any, if you don't find any, if you don't see how it will work. So let's do this first line, because in the first line it works that you can go down 3 notes and you're on the next bass chord. You're on the next bass note. So it's going to sound like this, the first line. La, see how nicely that works? Okay, those chords are exactly equidistant from each other to be able to do the connector notes in between each one. Everybody want to try it? Just that first line. Start on this C, because it works well. 1, 2, 3. Repeat the note. Repeat the note. Now you don't repeat the note. Okay, how do you know how many to do? You goof around with it. You figure it out. Your ear will figure it out, and you can have fun with that, right? So if we did that on the first line, what would we do to connect the first line to the second line? And you guys can write any questions you have in the chat too, okay? What we do to connect the first line to the second line? We've got a C to an F, right? So how do I want to connect my low C to my F? Anybody have any ideas? Write in the comment if you have an idea. I want you to think for a second about it before I tell you what I'm going to do. Everybody can do different things, but what I'm going to do, I don't see anyone writing in the chat, but they're playing the cello at the same time. So I'm just going to go back. So I'm going to go, you can go up and you can come down, right? So that's totally legal. And then it goes down again. Then you're going to go to a B, which is a long way from a C, so I'm thinking to myself I could go, but that doesn't sound very elegant unless I do a scale. But we're not talking about that right now, right? So I might go to the higher C. We're in bar 7 because a B minor's coming up, right? B minor's a long ways along from that C, so I might jump up an octave. To connect it with that rhythm, right? Or I might go and just go hit a note right next to it and then land on the real root note, okay? So what would this 2 lines sound like with connectors? You guys want to try it with me? Let's do it with the recording, just the first 2 lines. Okay, I want you to do connector notes on the 3rd beat. And if you don't know what they are, that's okay, goof around, but land on the root note on the downbeat of each bar, okay? I'm gonna get my recording out. You guys ready? Hopefully you can hear both of these. And let me know in the comments if you can hear these, like this part along with my cello part or not, because I don't see. You know what's interesting? It says that no one's writing anything in the chat. Is that true? Before I hadn't seen anyone. Do I have to write something? Oh, there. It's really hard because the sound disappears, which is impossible to keep a beat. Guys, are you having troubles hearing me, or is it just Vicky's internet? So Wendy says, darn, can't find the link to the music score. Where is it? So the Moon River is always written in, it's always posted with my posts in Cello Nation. And then also when you go under files, up to the right, you got to click around a little. It'll be in files too, because anytime a file is posted on Cello Nation, there's these lists at the top. I don't know what they say, guides and something, and then files. Click on files and Moon River will come up along with all the other files that have ever been posted on Cello Nation, okay? So hopefully, Wendy, you can find that. Meg says we can head back up. Yes, Meg, that's right. Heidi says G, I'm not sure what that's relating to. C, E flat, F. April, I'm not sure what that is. So we're in the key of C, right? So it's always going to be notes in the key of C for connector notes right now. Okay? But that's kind of it's not always true. All right? So you guys, is it cutting out, or let me know in the comments if you can hear it okay, all right? Now we're gonna do the first two line with connector notes and, just goof around with it and see what you think. This is really slow for that reason, so you can not fall off. Make sure you're on the downbeat of each bar with the right root. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Connector notes on the third beat.
One, two, three. Chat if you know what's going on, and if you're able to hear both parts here. Were you able to hear the melody and the connector notes? Okay, so we can see if this is working for our Cello Nation lives. Let me know if you were able to do that. Now I'm going to tell you while you write in the comments for me, because that'll help me to make this class good for people. I'm going to tell you some other things that we're going to be working on. Okay, so for connector notes, right? You can add any scale notes that you want to, that your ear likes. You're going to land on the root. So, and the connector notes are faster, so they're not going to stick out so much. They're just going to be a connection. Thus the term connector notes. Now, are these called connector notes? I don't know. They connect the two chords, so I figured connector notes is a good title. We're going to call them that. Okay? So it makes sense that they're connector notes. Now, if you see two chords and they seem to be a long distance away and you don't quickly know how to connect them, you can just use any notes that are near the bass note that's coming up, right? So for example, let's see, bar 13, 14. If you have, let's see, every place is pretty easy. So let's look at bar 17, 18, 19. What am I going to do in bar 19? Because it's F sharp and the next one's F natural. There's no notes in between F sharp and F natural. You guys got ideas for what you can do between F sharp and F natural? I'm on this. It's kind of weird because F sharp's not a great, it's not an easy pitch to access, but you could do, right? Use an open G. Right? notes right next to it. You can go up, you can come down, you can do whatever you need to do to make that rhythm happen. You can stay on the root note. Right? It's not that exciting of a spot, so you can go up and come down, or you can do it however you want to, but just land on the F, right? And then you're back into it. You see what I'm saying? So we got 2 connector notes between the bars, right? And you could also do upper neighbor tones and lower neighbor tones as connector notes. Now, in the beginning, sorry, if you started on your low C, then how are you going to connect that to an A with only 2 notes, right? That's something like your brain is actively thinking, what am I going to do to make it interesting? You can just do half steps if you want. Right? You see how that's working? You're using half steps. You go a whole note above the bass note and just play half steps. So it would be B, A sharp, A. You get that? That's one way to do it. You could do that too if you're down here starting, and do CBA for your connector notes, right? You can do a different rhythm if you want, but right at first, just doing 2 eighth notes is a good way to start doing this, okay? Let me know in the comments, are you able to do this? Let's try this all the way through one more time. You can use chromatic notes that are right next to the bass note. If you're going to an A, you could play 2 G sharps. You're going to land on the root and it makes it interesting. But main thing is, what is your ear like, right? What do you like to hear to connect those things? Just try a few different things. Let's try this one more time. Now, no one has written in the chat if this is working or not. So I'm just going to assume it is, that you guys can hear both parts, because I don't see you. Hold on a minute. Oh, there. I don't know why, but I have to write a comment in so that I can see your comments. They're not just coming out. That's interesting. Okay, April. Okay, April's explaining something. Adrian's saying, getting it. Heidi's saying, not the melody. What does that mean, Heidi? You can't hear the melody on this phone part? Love your sound. Yay, Claudia, thank you for that. Miriam. Okay, so let me know if it's working. We're going to try it one more time, okay? And that'll be it for today, all right? And can you guys please let me know if you can hear this melody with the... Can you guys hear that? Hopefully you can hear it. It's as loud as I can make it, but I can work on getting a speaker for it so we can hear it louder. Let's play it again, and I want you guys to use your connector notes. Be creative with them. This is slow so that you can just connect it however you want and see what you think about that, okay? Makes it more interesting than just playing a straight bass note. Also, the other point is, usually at the end of the bar, the melody's not going. Sometimes it's holding a long note or something, so then you create some interest with your connector notes, and the audience goes, oh, that's kind of cool, because the bass is connecting together while the melody's just playing a long note, in general, okay? You guys ready? Let's do it with connector notes. Here we go. I don't know what the noise is on here, but here we go. Ready? One, 2, 3. so that was your lesson on connector notes. Now you guys got to go out, make your own recordings. I don't know if you can hear it or not. I did find a speaker today, so I'm going to start goofing around with the speakers. But guys, write in the comments if you're able to do it, if you're able to connect those notes. If it's too easy for you, challenge yourself, make it faster, right? Make 4 connector notes instead of 2. However you want to challenge yourself is great, but challenge yourself so that you can actually do it, and so then not that you keep falling off and then you forget the goal and then you just goof around. Okay? So let's see. I'm going to write, because when I write something in here, then I can see your connector notes make a lot of sense and fall into place easily. Hi, Peggy. I didn't see you here. April says yes. Adrian says yes. Heidi can't hear the melody. I don't know why. Wendy's catching up. You can just watch it again. It's posted on Cello Nation, okay? So next week we'll do something else with the improv of Moon River, and I would suggest you guys record the melody with the metronome to start working on your bass, your arpeggios, and your chords, okay? Against this melody. All right. You guys can write any questions in here. I can answer it on Cello Nation later. Heidi says, I like them a lot, but we'll have to practice. Yeah, of course. That's what it's all about, finding interesting things to practice on, right? Yeah. Okay, guys, I will see you guys next week in Cello Nation Live. This will be posted. Write any questions that you have, and I will see you guys later. Over and out from the Cello Guru in Alameda Point, California. And also, Biscuit's here, too. Biscuit, say hi. She's very excited. I don't know if you guys can see her. Okay, bye guys. Nice chatting with you guys and working on Moon River a little bit. Also, you can post your version with connector notes on Cello Nation. That's always a good thing to do, right? Get some feedback on it. Okay, bye guys.